de puta. De puta.
Hello guys, welcome back to another Nioh 2 build video. So following on from the theme of the last build in regards to the difficulty in obtaining everything we need now to make a good build, I thought now would be the ideal time to make a farming build. So up until this point, luck builds, or more specifically the Child of the Sun set, wasn't anywhere near as viable as it is now, mostly because now we have access to much more luck increase through Ethereal T sets, scrolls, the Yutta mirror and things like that. And not only does this extra luck help with the farming itself, but it's also going to increase our damage. So it's still not going to be superior to other full damage options, but it's definitely viable as a general damage build in its own right. So we will go over everything in more detail later, but I just want to give some general insight first. So my build isn't perfectly optimized, but I'll of course explain what should be where if I don't have it. For example, we are running 4 pieces of Child of the Sun and its dual swords, which alongside our Yasakani gives us the full set bonus of Unifier of the Warring States, which you can see gives equipment drop rate, luck on Amrita absorption, damage reduction, luck bonus Amrita gauge, and damage bonus luck for a scaling of A+. Now importantly, we want a piece of light armor in the head slot. This is because we'd be too heavy running the full armor set of Child of the Sun, and if you're wondering, well then why don't I just put a light piece in place of the chest or waist, which are heavier? And that is because of one of the things I'm missing. So what you'd want ideally in this head slot is the Kodama Bowl helmet, which increases the effect of shrine blessings, and then what you would want to do is have the blessing for equipment drop rate. I'm missing a Grace of Inheritance for Ami no Azumi, so as soon as I get that I'll be changing this helm to the Kodama Bowl. And speaking of Ami no Azumi, you can of course take any 7-piece grace that you want in place of it. I just wanted the Death Dancer set bonus because it's one of my favourite mechanics, and at a full 9 stacks you're essentially getting around a 70% attack buff. Now if you're only farming solo boss rooms and using a playstyle similar to mine, you might not even find much use in Death Dancer because bosses will die so fast, but the ideal place to actually farm, which I didn't really show in the video, comes from level 500 plus with plus 20 scrolls. And they're quite rare, but when farming these scrolls you're obviously going to see maximum benefit in using Death Dancer because you'll be sitting at around 9 stacks for the entire fight, as scroll missions tend to last a lot longer, and then for most of them you tend to have trash mobs before the actual boss. And I'll show you an example of the best scrolls you want to farm with a little bit later in the video, but for now you can use any any weapon in this build, but the weapons that synergize best with Death Dancer are definitely going to be either Spear or Tonfa. Spear obviously due to its range and low stance evade, and Tonfa specifically with Mystic Dyad being able to evade through attacks with Demon Dance. However, this takes a lot more skill, and because this is a farming build, I want to prioritize comfort and efficiency, so I would suggest the Spear. Ideally ranged hatchets would work with Demon Dancer, but Demon Dancer doesn't consider ranged hatchets a melee attack, and I'm going to leave that there without elaborating because otherwise I'll end up going on a massive rant. So yeah, take any weapon you want apart from ranged hatchets. So for our accessories, you of course need a Yasakani Megatama, and then ideally, though I understand it's a pain to get the accessories you want, you would ideally have a Yatta mirror because it comes with a larger luck roll native to it. You'll see the second affix of luck here is much higher than on the Yasakanis, which just has luck tempered onto it, and that's only giving plus 11. On your scroll, you will need ultimate courage if you're not playing a weapon that scales with courage naturally. Ultimate skill is optional if you're playing a weapon that can scale with skill naturally. This isn't needed, but it synergizes great with Death Dancer because it increases your iframes when evading via a key pulse dodge. Ethereal drop rate obviously is going to synergize with the concept of the build in that it is a farming build, and finally, ideally, where I have finishing flare here, I would have a roll for luck increase. I haven't been able to obtain that yet. Before we go over the stats on the equipment, I'll just cover the Guardian Spirit, the cores, and the jutsus and items. So we are using the Spirit Ho for plus 45 to luck, and for the cores we are of course using Gazuki for one-shotting max key bars, Bunny B, an element of your choice to imbue your weapon and also to animation cancel. I suggest Lightning because it synergizes better with Death Dancer due to the CC effect of slowing enemies, and in the same vein, Sushi Gumo is fantastic, especially in co-op scrolls where there's so much going on the screen. You might get hit without seeing attacks coming, and that's going to cause you to lose your Death Dancer stacks. So popping this yokai ability is basically going to apply sloth to everything in the radius, which makes things super easy to deal with. Now this next part is pretty important. You'll see that all of my secondary passives on all of my cores, none of them have yokai shift based passives. In the footage at the beginning of the video, you saw me popping yokai shift on the final grapples. You don't need to do that, but the big reason I was doing it was to showcase how you can play the build if you really want a full min-max. So to do that, you want to have secondary passives on all of your cores that are either luck in yokai shift or equipment drop rate in yokai shift. Having those and then killing bosses whilst in yokai shift is obviously going to massively benefit the build. I don't have them because I don't really care enough to go out and farm new cores and re-level them just to have that, but that's why I was using yokai shift in that footage, just to show you how it would work if you did want to do that. So to be clear, you don't need to use yokai shift at all if you don't want to. The build will kill just as fast, and the yokai shift has nothing to do with performance. For the secondary spirit, take whatever you want. I think I'm running Kuruma Tengu for the key recovery unscathed. Now for the jutsu and items, I use fleeting guardian amulets. You can just take the Omyo version of Guardian Spirit Talisman, but I really like to stack up on other spells, so taking fleeting guardian amulets just works for me, as these can be purchased, so it's not that much of a big deal if you run out. Next you'll want ninja feathers. That covers any of the elements that you're not running on your weapon or on EB. So I'm running lightning on EB, so I take water feathers, which actually is just the best out of all the feathers anyway. Next you want an extraction talisman for life regen on Amrita absorption rolls, and also the luck on Amrita absorption. However, and this is also very important, you want to take luck talismans. I've tested this extensively, and the luck increase from luck talisman is significantly higher than the luck buff from Amrita absorption, and the luck talisman will override your luck from Amrita absorption buff. So before any major boss encounter, you 100% want to pop a luck talisman as well. I also have my damage increasing spells of Carnage and Soul Burge. I have barrier talisman for key regen and lightning familiar for super fast confusion stacking, arch yokai talisman for anima charge, and quick change scrolls for a bit of security. And I also carry lantern plant fruit to buff up my anima before any major engagement. Now you also want to carry some spirit stones to make sure you have full charge of your spirit gauge before any major engagements, as we do have luck based on Amrita gauge on the luck set, and obviously you're also going to want a full charge of Amrita gauge to be able to use the yokai shift if you want to play that way. So now let's take a look at the stats I have on my gear. I'm using Spear, and Spear doesn't scale naturally with Courage, so I want Transform bonus Courage, which I obtained through an inheritable. And this weapon also has Mystic Dyad, which is extremely important on Spear, Some weapons don't need it at all, some weapons become completely god tier with it, such as Spear, Tonfa and Kusari Gama. These are examples of weapons that definitely benefit the most from having access to both Mystic Arts at the same time. I like forging the Crescent Cross Spear to try and get that Mystic Dyad roll on it because it comes with active skill key damage and lets you choose your own element via tempering. I want attack bonus skill because it's a secondary scaling stat which isn't going to be replaced by transform bonus courage, and then it lets me use ultimate skill which synergizes with Death Dancer. I've also gone for active skill key consumption. For the secondary weapon, it's just a set bonus stick, so no need to worry about that. Ranged weapons, they're also not optimized on this build, but generally you want to go for damage bonus agility followed by all of the weapon speed and movement speed up modifiers. So the star rolls are obviously going to be random, but on the headpiece the most ideal star rolls would be anima charge or direct anima increase. I got active skill damage and key increase, which is fine. We of course want luck, which can roll natively on helms, and then an orange inheritable of attack increase. Now before we move on, take note that I have luck and attack increase rolled onto every single piece of gear, which is done via regular inheritables or orange inheritables. So moving on to the chest piece, as an essential star roll, it's definitely going to be max equipment weight. Having this will allow you to save a huge amount of points on stamina, which you can then put into other things, especially if you're a lower level than I am. I'm over 500 now, so if you're under that, you have even more of an incentive to have this star roll, so I suggest forging over and over until you get it. Which by the way is how we obtain all of this armor. We forge it, which will then of course make it divine, and then we convert it to ethereal via rarity inheritables. So the best tempered rolls on your chest piece are going to be life on Amrita absorption. You'll want either active skill damage or elemental weapon damage, and then either elemental damage taken or damage taken at critical. If you're running Death Dancer, then I would suggest elemental damage taken, as you're more likely to get hit by elemental damage than you are physical damage. And of course our luck and attack increase from orange inheritables. For the gloves, ideal star rolls are definitely going to be melee attack key consumption. We managed to get that on these gloves, so then we had to manually place on active skill damage or elemental weapon damage via tempering. Attack can roll natively on gloves, so no need for an orange inheritable on that. I placed tenacity on my gloves, and then we have orange inherited luck and inherited running speed. On the waist, inherited attack, which by the way can also come from regular inheritables, doesn't have to be an orange inheritable, so if you have space for regular inheritables then that's obviously going to be much easier to obtain, and I have a star roll of active skill damage. In terms of ideal star rolls for the waists and legs, honestly this is where you have more freedom to just take whatever you want, as nothing is particularly essential. Skill damage, elemental weapon damage, key damage and even life increase, any of them are going to be fine. As you can see I got both skill damage and life increase, which is super ideal, and then finally orange inherited luck. For the legs, inherited luck, running speed, a star roll of active skill damage, and this I don't actually need, so I could temper this off, this dodge range up. It's super nice, but it already comes as one of the set bonuses for the Ame no Azumi Grace. I'm pretty sure it doesn't stack, so that makes this useless, but I've kind of held off from tempering it away because I might decide to use another Grace with this luck build, and if I do that I'd actually want this star roll, so I'm kind of okay with just leaving it on here for now. But anyway, we also want running speed, orange inheritables of attack increase, and an optional roll of dodge key consumption. So if we take a look at the stats, first I take everything needed by my armor, accessories and spirit. Then I want 200 skill as my main scaling stat, which I do by remodeling my weapon to scale with skill and courage. So I of course have 150 courage, which is not only going to dual scale via remodeling, but it will also give me access to ultimate courage on my scroll. The next objective is to reach a 70% or under weight capacity, and I've decided to balance that slightly between stamina and strength, so I went 27 points in strength for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's a soft cap checkpoint for weight reduction, whilst giving me another damage scaling stat on my spear, and also allowing me to remodel my armor with the refine option, which increases defense at the cost of higher stat requirements. So from there, I've taken the exact number of points needed in stamina to reach 70%, which in this case is 67. But keep in mind, I said I wanted to change my helmet for the Kodama Bowl. The Kodama Bowl is ever so slightly heavier than the one I'm using right now, so when I do equip that helmet, I'm going to have to put a few more points in stamina. I have 30 points in magic, which is a checkpoint for Omyo capacity, and I need all of it, whereas with the ninjutsu, I only need 20 points to carry everything I need. You can actually get away with less in the ninjutsu. I use 20 because I also carry stealth jutsu, so I can run through maps undetected when I want to farm specific bosses in main missions or twilight missions. I put a couple of points into heart, and then at the moment I'm kind of just deciding to stack as much of whatever is left into Constitution for a bit more survivability if I ever do get hit, which can happen. I won't go over the skill trees in details, I just will mention in the Shiftling tree you want to grab anything related to anima, so if you see the word anima on the tooltip, take it. And also you can get 10 more luck when in the Dark Realm with the Silver Lining rank 3. I will just mention this if you're planning on doing yokai shift kills. Things like Demonic Acumen, which increases item drop rate when in yokai shift. I highly suggest you don't take things like this because you don't actually want item drop rate in this build. This build obviously isn't for farming smithing text, it's for farming ethereal and divine equipment. So you don't want item drop rate to conflict with the equipment drop rate. Not that it really would. When you have this amount of luck, your natural equipment drop rate is going to override item drop rate just because of how rarity pools work, which is why you never want to farm smithing text with super high luck builds, because it will actually just negate your ability to even get smithing text to drop, as they are of purple rarity, and the higher your luck the more chance it will be of divine or ethereal quality, which in most cases is going to be armor or weapons, although now there is the exception of divine fragments dropping, and you'd much rather have equipment drop than divine fragments, so really try to avoid taking item drop rate with this build. For our clan, we are using the Gamo clan, which at max rank gives us plus 42 luck and damage bonus for consecutive attacks. And finally, I just wanted to show you an example of an ideal scroll that you'll want to farm, and that would be something like this. Recommended level above 500 and ethereal plus 20. Items that drop in here are going to be a minimum of 180 plus 28. So literally anything that drops is only going to be 3 soul matches away from being a maxed out item if you include one of those soul matches being a 190 item. And the best way to get a scroll like this is to find someone who has one, and then they can indirectly give it to you by hosting it for you in co-op, and every time you complete it you'll have a chance to obtain it in the rewards. So if you don't know anyone, I highly suggest joining a Nioh Discord. You're more than welcome to join mine. We've got loads of lovely people in here that would be more than happy to host a scroll for you. The link to my Discord will be provided in both the description and the pinned comment. For now though, I think that covers pretty much everything in regards to this build. If I've missed anything out, please feel free to ask me down in the comments and I'll try to reply to you directly. As mentioned, you're also welcome to jump in our Discord and ask any questions there. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed, consider doing so for more Nioh 2 content coming soon. Okay guys, until next time, stay safe and take care.